I can't be any more proud of being a University of Michigan alum than I have been over the last 50 years of my life. But um, sometimes more than others, you're reminded of what you're a part of, and for that I'm immensely proud. And I know all of my teammates and everyone I know who is affiliated with Michigan football, we're all immensely proud of this. And but I don't know if I could puff my chest out any more than I already have.
It's so hard. Excellence is so hard to achieve. Sustained excellence is something else. And this has been obviously decades and decades and decades. Can you speak to sustained excellence, what it takes?
Well, it's hard. It's very hard. The old saying, staying on top is harder than getting there. And but it's always been, I think the past successes of Michigan football has always attracted a certain type of player, a certain type of coach who want to be a part of that. And they're not afraid of the challenge that comes with attempting to sustain the excellence that Michigan has shown over the years. So, yes, at times it can be a heavy burden, but by the same token, I think by and large, and in in a lot of instances, it's why you went to Michigan. You embraced it. You wanted to be part of it.
When you go to Michigan as a young man, the impact of the history and the tradition, what does that do to you as a young man, a young student athlete coming in?
I was a freshman in 1967, and I had just turned 18 years old. Uh, what when I look back on what I knew about the University of Michigan, uh, wouldn't fill a thimble. Um, it's while you're there. It's while you're in your first couple of years when you're away from it, and as you start to grow up, you start to realize, oh my God, look at this, look at this juggernaut that I've been a part of. Uh, what I knew when I got there in September of 1967, I'm embarrassed how little I knew about the excellence of the University of Michigan. But I learned in a hurry.
As a Michigan football player, can you speak to the connection across generations? Whether you meet a guy that's on the team right now, or a guy who played with you, or a guy who played before you, what is that connection like?
Well, whenever you get a chance to visit with any of the current players, um, you got to walk a fine line. You don't want to sound like the old man that wants to talk about things they can't relate to. Uh, you don't want to bore them with how great it was when you were there, but you do want to instill the fact that you want them to understand that they're joining this fraternity, that they're joining this this group of men that has a bond that will last until your heart takes its last beat. And sometimes you can tell they're embracing that. Sometimes they're just words. Uh, but the one thing I'm confident in, every one of them will figure it out as they get older. That it's pretty cool to be a part of something so much greater than yourself.
Can you give me a favorite moment? Not necessarily the biggest win. Maybe it is the biggest win. What was the signature moment for you, or a moment that's very poignant for you that just hits you differently?
Well, certainly being a part of the 1969 Ohio State game, but for me, the thing I look back on was being on Bo Schembechler's first team, being a part of that win against Ohio State, which I will always believe, and I'm not alone in thinking so. That was a seminal moment for Michigan football. I like to think, I played a lot of football games in Michigan Stadium uh, where there were 70 or 80,000 people there. Well, that's a lot of people, but there are also 20,000 empty seats. And when I played, the only two games that sold out was either Ohio State or Michigan State. And I'm proud of the fact that my teammates and I were part of a group that I think kickstarted the modern era of college football. You know, it was Bo Schembechler, but everything was different after 1969. Everything, everything was more important. I think every game was bigger, and it just never changed. It just kept ascending, and that I was a part of the beginning of that has always been very important to me.
Dan, what would you tell a young man stepping into this program, say a kid coming in next year, a kid in the future? What would you tell him as a bit of advice as he started his college journey at Michigan?
Well, I would tell him if he wasn't sure if he wanted to go to Michigan or not, what I would tell him is this is a rare combination that you have a combination of pluses that you're not going to find anyplace else. Academically, the quality of football, the quality of an idyllic college town in Ann Arbor, the alumni base that is Michigan. When you're 30 or 40 or 50 years old, that when where'd you go to school? Oh, I went to Michigan. Oh, you went, and that they have a chance to be a part of that. And I just, when I talk to a young player, I just want them to, just for a moment, to take a deep breath and just thank God that they're a part of something of this magnitude, something of such quality and such historical importance and a life lasting fraternity. To me, it's just a perfect place.